Bookaholics, and welcome back to another reading vlog. This week we're tackling my obligation reads. Obligation reads is a very loose term for me because I am not someone that particularly believes in like obligatory reading, but I have committed myself to a buddy read. I have a book club pick as well, and then I also have my jar picks. So basically I've got a few things on my plate. I have got another book club read that I might try and incorporate, but I'm doing a spoiler vlog for that, so that will probably be in the background, but it will also add to this absolutely obscene page count. So I'm going to go through the books as I am reading them. So the first one is I am going to be continuing to read Shaman's Crossing by Robin Hobb. I am currently halfway through this. I have been reading it throughout the month. I started it on the 28th of May and I am reading a chapter a day, except that I didn't during my Raylo vlog because I was reading a book a day. So I didn't really have time for these really long chapters because these chapters are at the very least 30 pages normally. So there is quite a dense read. So I stopped while I was doing my Raylo vlog, but the rest of the time I have just been chipping away at this one chapter a day, and that will continue, and I will be finishing this hopefully on the 25th of this month. And this is my current Discord series read along. We're reading through the entire Soldier Sun series. We're doing a book every 2 months. These are quite dense and they're quite slow, so I didn't want to do a book a month, even though that's my preferred method. I know that obviously people have other reads that they need to get to, so we're doing one every 2 months. I'll leave my Discord link down below. It's always linked down below so that you can check it out if you want to join us. This was April and May's pick, and as I said, I'm going to be finishing this on the 25th of May. But yeah, just one chapter a day. This is a reread series for me, and it is one that I DNF'd at book 2 last time. So I'm hoping that chatting through with some friends is going to actually make me push through and finish this series. Another one that I'm planning on slowly chipping away at throughout the week is I did this month pick out How Long Till Black Future Month from my jar. This is a collection of short stories. It's just all of N.K. Jemisin's short stories bound up into one place. So they're going to be books from the Inheritance cycle, books from the City series. I don't know if there's anything from Dreamblood or from Broken Earth series. I don't actually know which ones connect to what, but I wanted to have read everything else by her before I got to this. So this is my last Jemisin read that I have available to me. So I am hoping that I will love this, but I need to get to the end of this by the end of the week, hopefully. There are, let's go count how many short stories there are. 22, and I've already read one. I read one yesterday because I finished yesterday's vlog before dinner. So then after dinner at night I just read one of the short stories from here. So that does mean that I have 21 for this week, which I didn't know at the time, but I've actually really helped myself out because now I just know that I need to read 3 a day for the whole week. They're not very long and they're very easy to get through, and I love N.K. Jemisin's writing style, so it'll be really easy for me to sink into, I think. So I'm very excited to get to this. My other jar pick, I have All's Well by Mona Awad. This one is a dark academia thriller kind of story that's supposed to be a bit wacky and supposed to have like some very subtle speculative elements. This one is a story of a teacher who has a past but also is now trying to revive her career. She had a serious accident and she's in lots of pain, and she's trying to revive her career as a theatre director slash teacher, and she's trying to get her students to do, I think it's All's Well That Ends Well, but her students want to do Macbeth instead. These businessmen who come and offer her a chance at not only regaining her career but also removing her pain and also potentially trying to get her students in line. So I'm very excited for this one. I've heard a lot of good things about Mona Awad. I have 2 of her books. I have this one, which is All's Well, and I also have Bunny. I would have liked to have started with Bunny, but this is the one that came up in the jars, so this is one that we're reading. And then I also have a buddy read that I am reading throughout this week, which is The War of the Flowers by Tad Williams. This is a book that I tried to pick up previously and then just literally had to put it down because I was going to read it for a readathon prompt and it didn't work for that prompt. But I did read the first, like, I don't know, 50 pages pages of this and I really, really liked it. I've read the Memory, Sorrow and Thorn series by this author and I also really enjoyed that. I read it as part of a read along over on Stephen Arian's YouTube channel and I'm very excited to continue this book. So I'm reading this with my friend Chris from over at A Fictional Escapist. This is our first buddy read as well, which given how much we talk about books and how much we have in common, the fact that we haven't gotten to a buddy read until now seems absolutely ridiculous in hindsight. But this book is split into 5 parts, so I rather ambitiously am going to try and do a part a day and read this in 5 days, which is a lot, especially considering that I will be reading like 30 pages a day of this and I'm also reading 3 of these. But I'm hoping that I would finish this throughout the week and then on the weekend I would read Allswell. But we'll see how that goes. It's a mass market paperback, so it's got more pages. This one has 749 pages in total. I'm feeling ambitious. So overall, it'll be like 120 pages of this a day, and then about 30-ish pages of this a day, and then 3 stories in here, which I suspect amounts to about maybe 40-50 pages. So yeah, 50 pages-ish of this each day as well. So it's a lot going on. But I am escaping reality at an Olympic level. So I'm hoping I can manage this. I don't know though. But no time like the present. So let's get started. I think I'm going to go try and knock out. I think I'm going to have it where I'm going to have these first thing in the morning. So I would then need to read 1 chapter of this every morning. I'll chip away at this throughout the day and like in the evening. And then just before bed at night, I can read these. That seems like a good plan. Hey vlog, so it's still Monday and I already have a change of plans. So I'm not going to be reading The War of the Flowers this week. I'm postponing it. Chris hasn't started yet and I read considerably quicker than Chris. So I've just kind of figured I'll leave it and then whenever he decides to pick it up, I will follow. So I've left that one for now, which meant that this afternoon I have been instead reading Wriggly Little Hands by ARCS. This was sent to me by the author. This is the second book I have received from this author, and this is a story of goblins. In this story, we are following Ollie, who is a goblin in this like evil realm. It's kind of like if you took Lord of the Rings, but we're following it from the side of Mordor instead. He's a very friendly goblin, and he kind of goes and works his way around this evil part of the world, and he can kind of go unseen because no one really notices him or cares about him. He finds this evil ring and he takes it back to the Dark Lord. The Dark Lord is like, I've had so many people searching for this ring and you're the one that's brought it back to me, because it just happened to fall into his bog, and he managed to get all the way to the throne room completely undetected. So now the Dark Lord has a mission where he needs to go retrieve something else from the other side, from like the good guys' side of this siege that is happening. So now we have Ollie and his cousins have gone to go and get this artifact, but along the way they also get entrusted with carrying these other relics that basically help people turn evil. It makes them angry or greedy or amoral in some way, shape or form, and he needs to go deliver these items across the side of good, all while also trying to retrieve this magical artifact. There have been so many like popular culture references done in like a humorous way in here. It's been so much fun and I'm just having a blast. I'm just having fun with it. That is exactly what this book set out to do. It's just supposed to be a fun time and it's doing that, and I really like it. I mean, Ollie speaks very simplistically, so there's a lot of like, you know, Ollie go, Ollie want. It's not annoying, and like his whole group of cousins is really cool as well. Like the band of goblins that we've got here, well, goblins, one of them is definitely a small orc but it's fun. I've just been having such a good time. Our package that I got came with a crossword puzzle that I have now completed. So like if you do get the book with a crossword puzzle, you can complete it in the first half of the book, because that's where I am at. But that was so much fun as well, to just kind of like pick up on like the clues are funny. So we've got, for example, the imprisoned souls add a spritz of something special, and it's like the name of this pub that Ollie goes to. Just things like that. It's so much fun, and yeah, I'm having a great time with it. So I'll probably stop for a bit now And I think I'm just going to chill, maybe watch some Booktube. And then tonight I'm going to go read a couple more stories from How Long Till Black Future Month. So a decent start to the week. I am on chapter 14 of Shaman's Crossing. So I read a chapter of that, which means that I now need to read the next few stories in this one to be up to date. But this is a good little stack. I'm very happy with it. Hey vlog, so I thought I would check in because I have done a bit of reading. I haven't actually read any of Wriggly Little Hands yet today. I'm very excited to get to that in a little bit. But I have now gotten to chapter 15 of Shaman's Crossing, and I just read one of my preferred chapters. So basically there is a character in here, which is the only reason I actually persevered as long as I did into book 2, is because of Epiny, who is our protagonist's cousin, and we had a chapter of her. This was a very small chapter. Actually, it was only 15 pages, which again for this book is tiny, so that was quite good. And I'm not feeling particularly different about it than I did the first time. I'm not liking it more, I'm not liking it less. This one I did manage to get all the way through and read and not despise. So it's not like it's a worse off on a second round, but also I'm not like, oh, now I'm with it, now I'm vibing with it. We are in a academy, in a military academy in here, and that was definitely one of the things that definitely got me through this first book. I also really like the way that our protagonist feels about his betrothed. So he's part of an arranged marriage, but it's very much like he is trying to convince himself to love his fiance, which you normally only get from the female perspective. You normally only get, like, you get guys that are like, oh, it's whatever, I'll marry her because I can have lovers or whatever anyway. And then you have the girl that is like trying to convince herself that she can love this guy. No, I'll just keep rereading his letters and romanticize him in my head. But he is the one that's like reading through her letters again every night, and he like kisses where she's like signed it, and he's wanting to love her. And there's something really endearing about that in this kind of setting where it is normally very one-sided romances. I'm glad to be reading that. The highlights for me, I do like the military academy. Epiny is my favorite character, and yes, I do like that we have Neva trying very hard to fall in love with his fiance. I did read the next 3 stories in How Long to Black Future Month, which now has me up to 4 stories in total. The first story is a near utopia / dystopia that has direct parallel to modern day America, and it was just very interesting social commentary really on like class systems and on the way that a lot of Americans don't see the class divide, etc. So there's that. Next one is, I believe, the short story that then eventually inspired her to write the city duology. So the short story in here is basically the very beginning of the city we became, where we have this homeless man who is learning to become New York City. So that was clearly the short story that she wrote that she then eventually felt the need to turn into a duology. The Red Dirt Witch is my favorite one out of the 4 I've read so far, because it's like folklore fairy tale. So you have an Alabama woman who is trying to stop this fae or this fairy from taking one of her children in like a typical fairy tale fashion. It's a little bit Rumpelstiltskin-esque. And L'Alchimista is probably my least favorite. Not that I disliked it, I just didn't really care about it. It's about a chef who gets given this recipe that she's commissioned to make, and I hate talking about short stories, they're so easy to spoil. But yeah, I just wasn't fussed. I just didn't feel like it meant anything to me at all, and it's definitely not very memorable. So another 3 of these tonight, hopefully, but I will go read Wriggly Little Hands when I am done with some work. Today's shaping up to be an alright day so far, so hopefully I can keep that going with a fun read. Hey vlog, it is Tuesday evening, so I thought I would check in because I have in fact finished Wriggly Little Hands. I ended up giving this 4 stars. I had such a good time with this. I had so much fun, and it's exactly what I needed. This book gave me exactly what I needed. Is it like new favorite material? Actually kind of, not in a way that I expected it to. I'm not gonna lie. I've read something serious by this author. I read his newest release prior to this one, Servant of Rage, and it's a serious book. So while obviously the cover of this one said that it was going to be fun, I didn't know the extent of fun that it was going to be. I had a great time with it. I really did love Ollie and all of his many, many cousins. Job was my favorite, I think, just because he's so smarmy and it's so funny and like in a good way. I loved this cast of characters. I loved how innocent they all were despite them working for evil. It's kind of like if you took the minions and put them in the plot of Lord of the Rings and have them work for Sauron is kind of what this is. The characters in this, they're kind of like the minions, like they're innocent and they're sweet, but they work for the bad guy. Like they work for the biggest, baddest boss around. And it works. It was fun. Yeah, I don't know if the author's going to get more out in this world or if it's a one and done, but this came to me at exactly the right time. And I am super glad to have read it. I am now going to go sit and read my next 3 stories in How Long Till Black Future Month with the 1995 Pride and Prejudice on in the background, and that is going to be my evening. It's going to be a really nice way to unwind, ready for tomorrow. Hey vlog, I am checking in again. It is Wednesday morning, so I thought I would chat to you a little bit. I have been reading my next stories of How Long Till Black Future Month, so I thought I would give you some thoughts on the 3 that I read. I read Effluent Engine, which is the story of a Haitian spy detective who works with an engineer on the hopes of creating a spaceship that they can use from sugar. It was an odd one, but I did actually enjoy it. It felt kind of like an episode of a series that I would watch. So that was fun, and I really liked the visuals of that one. We have Cloud Dragon Skies, where we are following a girl and a scientist from an alien race in the skies interact with each other and seek different ways to try and repair the atmosphere. That was a nice one. I really liked the kind of connotation of the relationship between the two and the way that both like a scientist and a child would be the kind of people that would want to work towards protecting a planet, and I liked that somehow. I liked the metaphor behind it. It was a nice story. The Trojan Girl was an interesting one. This is a story of we're following AI, artificial intelligence, as they create a new artificial intelligence, and that was fascinating because I've never thought of that. I've never thought of like AI creating a new form of AI and then what the ramifications of that would be. So that was quite interesting. I do think that one potentially could have been longer. I would have liked to have seen that developed more. It's one of the ones where it's like she's developed a load of these short stories into series, and that is one where it's like that could be something. That could be a series, you know? So I had a good time with those. They were decent stories. And then I have this morning read my chapter of Shaman's Crossing. Not much more to report. I haven't wanted to murder Levi yet, so that's something in his favour. I don't remember being hugely homicidal towards him until book 2 though. I was just kind of like, oh, okay, book 1 is what it is. But we'll see. We'll see if I still like him in book 2 or whether I want to murder him like last time. Yeah, I have started All's Well. Interesting writing style. Interesting book. I'm not very far in. I don't even know what page I'm on because I'm reading it digitally, and I never know when I'm reading them digitally. But I think I'm gonna vibe with this. I think I'm gonna like this book. It's weird. I don't know if it's going to be like, this is a me book, but I am very curious. So I'm very excited to continue. Hopefully next time I check in, I'll actually have some more cohesive thoughts, because at the minute it's just like, okay. But maybe the whole book will be like that. Who knows? But yeah, that's it for this check-in. So I'm going to go and read a bit more of All's Well. I'm also reading a book in the background for a different vlog that you're not going to see for a little while, but I am having a good time with that as well. So the reading is going well and the mental health is doing quite a bit better. We've got a storm. Storms are always great for my mental health. So hopefully I can keep this energy going. Hey vlog, it's Thursday, so I thought I would check in. I've had quite a busy morning, but I have some reading update. Firstly, that I have gotten to chapter 16 of Shaman's Crossing. We are getting more things that I liked, more intrigue, more, I guess, conversations about this world and about what is actually going on, and Neva is actually learning a few more things, I guess, in this later segment. So this is definitely where the plot actually starts to kick in. Now, as far as I can remember, I don't dislike the ending of this book. I actually quite enjoyed this book for the most part. My problem was definitely more in book 2. Now, this one I didn't rate highly. I rated it 3 stars the first time round. Don't foresee me thinking better of this book. It's just whether or not I'll be able to enjoy the next book better. I am liking it. The pacing is not the best, and I genuinely do struggle to root for Neva to an extent. There's a lot of this propriety, especially like coming from a man, which is handled well. It's not that it's handled badly. It just makes it really hard to like him sometimes. And then other times, like when he's talking about his fiance, it's like, oh, he's a decent dude. And there's a bit more of a toss-up between how much I like him versus how much he annoys me in this one, which I'm fairly certain in the second one I just found him annoying. So hopefully I'll be able to balance that out a bit better in the sequel. But so far I'm having still a decent time, but not a huge amount more to say. As to How Long Till Black Future Month, I read 3 more stories yesterday night. So I read Valedictorian, in which we are following this woman, this girl, this young woman, who is valedictorian of her school. And there are these humanoid beings that take the most intelligent people away from human society and towards their society. And she needs to toss up whether or not she wants to stay with the people she knows or whether she wants to be around these more intelligent beings. It was a very interesting conversation, but I don't think I really engaged with its themes. I think with a story like that as well, I would have really appreciated a bit of a conversation around like prodigy burnout. There's a lot of conversations around that in millennial culture, around the idea of you being this prodigy, this really amazing, intelligent being, and then the burnout that comes with that, the expectations that are put on you for the rest of your life that come with that. I definitely would have liked that conversation to have been a thing, and it just kind of wasn't. So that was a shame, but I think that was again an expectations thing as opposed to anything wrong with the actual story. But there were some interesting conversations brought forth around intelligence, around kind of like brain drain mentality as well. So interesting conversations, just potentially not the one that I wanted to be having when we're talking about hyper intellectual beings. The next one I have is Storyteller's Replacement, which is about a king who wants to hunt a dragon because he thinks that if he eats the dragon's heart, he'll be able to sire a son. And this was an odd one. Like, it's epic fantasy in vibe, and it was very fairy tale-esque. I personally really appreciated the message of it, but it was a bit short. Like, it could have done so much more, and that's what I find a lot with short stories, especially with that N.K. Jemisin, whose brain I just love. I always want more. When I'm reading something short of hers, it's like, but that could be more. I could be reading more of this. So it was good, but I definitely would have liked it to have been delved into further. Brides of Heaven was probably my favorite. It is about a planet in which there are only women that have survived. So we terraformed the planet, but only the women have survived on it. And we're following a woman who is tampering with the water supply system, and we're figuring out why, and we're figuring out why the women are the only ones that survived, and all of those things. And it kind of felt like N.K. Jemisin's take on Chaos Walking, if you've read first book in the Chaos Walking. And I really liked this. I really like premises that talk about these, especially when it's not just because women are better or because men are better, where it's just like, yeah, it's a failing of society that we can't live in equality. So I really liked the discussions that were had in this one, and I did really appreciate it. So 3 more tonight, hopefully, and I am looking forward to continuing on with those. Though it was very interesting to see what things N.K. Jemisin thinks up. And then I have also read part 1 of Allswell. Allswell is divided into 3 parts, and I've started part 1, and I'm liking it. It's weird. Like, this is a book that I expected to be really weird, and then I picked it up and it wasn't that weird, but the writing style had a something about it where I was like, this is something, not what I was expecting, but also not just, oh, this is just a regular writing style. And it was odd because my brain had hyped it up in my head, and I'm still kind of feeling that way. I'm expecting it to get weirder, but at the same time it's not just like normal either, and I'm enjoying the way that's doing things to my brain. I really like the discussions and representation around pain. The very opening, we have our protagonist railing against the way that people act in pain medication adverts, like, invisible pain, all of that, as someone who has several physical ailments, none of which are, I think, to the point where they are completely debilitating, but in combination they can get a bit messy. I worked full time, I was fully capable of working, so it's the idea that we have to harm ourselves to be able to function within society, instead of society making those accommodations, that we are a burden to society otherwise, is quite interesting. And yeah, the conversations around that are fascinating. Also the conversation around like loss of career and like ambitions and dreams and all of that. And then, as someone who has been a teacher, just having your students constantly pushing back against you is also interesting. Like, I really liked when my students actually bothered to push back against me, because it meant that they were at least engaging. But it's really fascinating to see it from a different perspective of like, no, my career hinges on this. My career never hinged on my students' opinion. I taught teenagers, so it was mostly just, please don't set things on fire. It was a fascinating discussion starter that we've got there. So I'm very curious to get into part 2, which is my intention today. I read part 1 while we were out because I had a doctor's appointment to get some blood works done. I will hopefully either read it today or maybe read it tomorrow. We shall see. But in the next update, I should be able to actually give you some more thoughts on part 2. But there we have it so far. So I will hopefully check in tomorrow with more thoughts. I feel like I came in really heavy with like wriggly little hands on the thoughts, and now I've just got like little bits and pieces of things to talk about. It's an odd one, but hopefully, I don't know, it's still entertaining regardless. Hey Bookaholics, it's Friday, so I thought I would check in. I have made some progress across all of my reads, despite my background read being my primary focus at the moment. But I am now on chapter 18 of Shaman's Crossing, so I don't have a huge amount left. And I don't really have any additional thoughts. Things are beginning to escalate now in a way that is then going to help build up for book 2, but I am not feeling very strongly about those increments at all. I remember them, so nothing's really shocking me. It's just, oh, okay, yeah, I remember that happening. I don't really have a huge amount to say on that one, so I'm just kind of gonna leave it there, and then maybe I'll check in when I'm done, or at least at the end of the vlog. I have also read 3 more stories in How Long Till Black Future Month, so again, I don't have a huge amount left of this one either. 3 stories that I've read 2 that were short stories and 1 that was like literally, it felt like it was like maybe 3 or 4 pages. The last one, yeah, it's 3 pages. The first one that I read, so we have The Evaluators, which is some people that are reading through some logs about first contact. So it's a first contact sci-fi story, and I liked it. I did. I just didn't really see the point of it. I think that, I'm not huge on first contact. I know that it's quite a popular one within sci-fi. I'm quite picky with it because it does all feel a bit samey sometimes, so I'm not crazy fussed about it. Like, it's not, I don't have a problem with it, it's just one that I'm like, it's not a trope that particularly draws me in. So I think that she handled the trope well. It's just not one that I'm fussed about. We have a kind of uprising story in Waking Alone, which is where we are following a woman who, she's one of the people that is employed to help these parasitic species transition away from the body that they're in into a new human body. Then she just kind of gets sick of it and rebels. And it was an interesting one, actually, because when reading about parasitic entities, I always find it fascinating to kind of understand their consciousness and where the host stops and the parasite begins. One of my favorite series is Parasite by Myra Grant, so I do really like playing with that concept. So it coming from someone who has been working with the parasite was fascinating. I don't really know how to talk about this one in a way that wouldn't be spoilery, because so sure anyway, but also my thoughts on it are kind of intrinsically tethered to the themes, so I liked that one Anyway, and then elevator dancer is one that we're in this society where everything is restricted. There are very few things that you're just allowed to do, and we are following a security guard as he catches a woman on camera in an elevator dancing. She's in the elevator by herself and she starts dancing because she thinks no one can see her, but the security guard can see her through the camera in the elevator. So then he goes to hunt her down to arrest her. And that one, I don't think it was as thematically striking as I thought it would be. When it first started, I thought, oh, like obviously it's talking about nanny states and how much we regulate human condition. And that was fine. It was very, very, very short. And it was like, oh, okay. It didn't really mean much of anything. It was just this man pursuing this woman. I mean, I might have missed something, but it was fine. I didn't dislike it. I just also didn't adore it. I have also read part 2 of All's Well. This is the part where everything escalates. Like, it was obviously starting to escalate at the end of part 1, but in part 2 is where shit really hits the fan, where the more horror element also starts to come in. I hesitate to call it horror, but where there are more horrific things being brought in to the narrative. This book feels like, when they talk about, it's a car crash and you can't look away. It kind of feels like that. It's an absolute mess of a book, deliberately so. And you are supposed to just be along for the ride and be like, wow, what the fuck? And that's pretty much what I'm feeling. There's so much going on in there. I can't really talk about it because a lot of it is just you need to go with it. You need to just roll with it. And I know a lot of people when they talk about Mona Awad, they're like, I don't know how to talk to you about this book. I concur. I also don't know how to talk to you about this book because yes, you just have to go with the flow. And the less you know going in, aside from the setup, is better. So yeah, obviously things escalate. We level up all of the drama in part 2, and I can't wait for part 3. Hey vlog, so it is Saturday, so I thought I would check in and do some updates. First off, that I have of course read up to chapter 19 of Shaman's Crossing. This part, so we're definitely building up to something that I remember happening, and it is going to happen in the next couple of chapters. It's interesting now that I know what is going to happen. It's not impacting my intrigue. It's not made me more excited and it's not made me less excited. It's not like, oh, I know that's going to happen. And at the same time, it's not like, oh my God, yeah, we'll get into that scene. So that's quite an interesting, I suppose, look at the story as to whether or not, like, this story, the one thing I can say is that it is being consistent because I'm no more or less excited than I was the first time round. So I suppose that's something it's got in its, I think it's in its favour. I'm not sure. I did read 3 more stories of How Long Till Black Future Month. The first one is Le Cuisine de Mémoire, which is about a man who goes into a restaurant and he doesn't believe in what the restaurant says, but the restaurant purportedly can recreate any meal from history. I really liked that one. I would love a novel on that. Kind of like in a Before the Coffee Gets Cold style, where you just see different customers going in and what they request and what they want and why they want it. That would be amazing. I would read that. I would love that. The next one that we had was Stone Hunger, which is the inception, the very, very origins of the 5th season. Now, for those of you who don't know, The Broken Empire is one of my all-time favorite series. So naturally, I was excited about that. It was so fascinating to see like the origin story of one of my favorite series. And obviously it becoming a series, it got adapted so much bigger and there's so much more to it and I love it so much. But it was just so much fun to see the birthplace of one of my favorite series. So I really enjoyed that for what it was. Obviously, I think that the series is substantially better because it's developed upon, but it was just so much fun to see. So I'm really glad about that one. And then the last one that I read is On the Banks of the River Lex, which is throughout New York City, we are following death personified as they interact with other personifications. One that I found most interesting is that we have the personification of nursery rhymes. Normally when you think of these entities, you know, if you think of like Sandman, fuck Neil Gaiman, but if you think of like Sandman with like death and dream and desire and all of that. Nursery rhymes, that fascinated me. I really liked that she included that, not gonna lie. And if you're a fan of Sandman but don't want to support Dickface, then you might like that short story. And it would be really cool if Jemison could expand upon that, especially because we could do with a substitute nowadays. But there you have it. I haven't read any of All's Well yet. I'm going to go and hopefully take that with me. I'm going to have a picnic. My mother-in-law has this house in the middle of the countryside that we're going to go up to. So we are going to go have a picnic there. And yeah, while we're up there, I'm hoping to get some reading done. I'm going to take my background read with me. And I'm also, obviously, I'm reading All's Well on my phone. So I'll be able to read that, no problem. So that's the hope. So I will hopefully check in tonight. We're going out for dinner as well. So I'm going to be out all day. But hopefully tonight I will be able to come back and give you an update on that. Hey vlog, I thought I would check in because it's Sunday and I haven't really had much going on, so I've read a lot. I didn't check in again yesterday, so I did finish All's Well. I still don't know what to rate it because like I really liked it. I wasn't expecting the level of horror that there was in this book, so I think that was like a really fun addition. I think not knowing anything about this book is great, but also it means that then I had difficulty managing my expectations of like where it's all going, what it all means. But I think it's gonna come out at like a 4-star. I did really enjoy the prose. Like I said, I really did enjoy the discussions around the representation of pain, the way that chronic pain functions. I had a decent enough time. I feel like some of the background characters could have been a little bit more developed. I think that is kind of where I'm feeling the biggest shortcoming, and I do appreciate that that's almost in a way the point is that because the protagonist doesn't really care about these characters. I would have, I think, maybe cared more if the background characters felt like people. Then I did also finish Shaman's Crossing by Robin Hobb. I was supposed to keep going with this and then finish it next week, but again, I haven't had anything to do today, so this is done. It's still 3 stars. I don't have a huge amount more thoughts. This one you could read as a standalone, which I didn't really pick up on the first time because I binge read the series, so that as soon as I finished this one I started the next one. But now that I've had a couple minutes to like sit with it, it's like no, this reads like a standalone. The way it wraps up at the end feels like it could be a standalone. 3 stars for this one, and it's okay. You know, I don't feel strongly about it. By the way, Epiny is still definitely my favorite character by a long shot. And I have also managed to finish How Long Till Black Future Month. Yesterday I read The Narcomancer, which is the short story that inspired the Dreamblood duology. I absolutely love the Dreamblood duology. It's my second favourite Jemison series. I liked the short story, but I definitely, having read the series, it's so impressive that from this one story she managed to bring so much out of it. Like with the 5th season short story, I definitely felt like I could really see where it was coming from. And then with the City We Became story, it felt like you could definitely, it was the prologue basically of the story. So all of that was pretty cool. But with this one, it just felt like I don't know how from this story you managed to expand it so much to become everything that Dreamblood ended up being. Kenosis was boring. I was bored during Kenosis. It's probably my least favourite of the ones. It's about an author interacting with their fans before and after an award ceremony. I'm sure that part of it potentially comes a little bit from a twisted, a slightly, different version of events from things that Jemison has experienced, or an amalgamation of events that Jemison's experienced, coupled with the literary element of it, the expansion upon that. But it bored me. It just didn't do anything for me. Too many yesterdays, not enough tomorrows basically had a Groundhog Day style effect. The world's been like the snap in Marvel, where it's been hugely depopulated and then it resets itself every day, and I don't like Groundhog Day stories, so that also really didn't do it for me. And then today I have the U Train, which is a secret train that is under New York City. I don't like New York City settings, so I naturally was somewhat unfussed about this story as well. Like, it was fine, but I don't care. And I'm claustrophobic, so subways are really not my thing. Non-Zero Probability is another one that's New York City centered, and in it we are following a group of people as the way that probability works is different in New York City to the rest of the world. And yeah, I also didn't care about that because, again, New York, not my thing. And the last one, which is Sinners, Saints, Dragons, and Haints in the City Beneath the Still Waters, is set in New Orleans. We are following a man who is stuck in New Orleans during the 2005 hurricane, and we are following him as he is not only trying to survive the aftermath of this hurricane, but also there are spirits that are haunting him. I did really like that one. I love the New Orleans vibes. I really liked the way that we had the atmosphere depicted in that one, and while the story wasn't like the most captivating, it was probably the most atmospheric one in here, so I did really enjoy that. So overall for this one, very mixed feelings for the most part. Like, there were some, again, like there were some of the foundational stories of some of my favorite works by Gemma Stone, which were really cool to read, get really cool to see where the ideas come from. There were some in here that were whole new stories that I found really interesting, and then there were some that just didn't quite work for me for whatever reason. So a decent time. I'm gonna go rate all of the short stories, and then I will kind of average that out and then figure it out on Corpal. But I did enjoy the short stories for the most part. So that's it. I'm done with this vlog because that's all the reading. And it's Sunday, so there's no point in me starting something new now. So, well, I will start something new, but I'll start a new vlog. So that is all from this vlog. Let me know if you've read any of these and your thoughts on them. Let me know if, based on my liking of these, you have any other recommendations. And I hope that you've had a lovely week, and I will hopefully catch you in another one soon.